Yes, you are. It is 10:07 in Mississippi. It's Wednesday, the 13th of August, 2025, and we are streaming on Rumble. We are streaming on X. We are streaming on YouTube. We're streaming on that social media platform that begins with a F, but we don't like saying the name because they censor everything. And of course, you can always listen to us online at WYAB.com, where we're streaming worldwide. Look, this is the Andrew Gosser Show, and today we are going to be talking about DC. We're going to continue to talk about inflation because it seems to be a big talking point. Look, Jackson's taken some initiative here in banning ski masks. Who would have thought? Growing up in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, 2010s, someone wearing a ski mask, never would have thought that that would have to be done, but apparently so. And we've also got the solar panel issue that is really starting to rear its head, even as the Trump administration is attempting to lock down and get rid of some of these foolish subsidies for energy. There's some movement on that. And then we've also got to be talking about this map situation because people are really starting to dig into the maps that Texas wants to do, and then they're starting to compare it to blue states. And I think that is a fair thing to do. Look, if you want to be a part of the program today, it's simple. 601-879-0002. If you want to be part of the text line, 601-879-5060. But the place that I have to start today, and this was sent in by a texter, we lost a J6 Patriot, and that stinks. We don't want anybody passing away. We cherish and preserve life, but this J6 Patriot is a special case because he's a victim of the DC Gulag. The first pardoned January 6 Patriot laid to rest with full military honors. A proud U.S. Marine veteran and January 6 political prisoner, Bart Chivalry, passed away on June 22nd, 2025. He had a battle with stage 4 lymphoma. He was sentenced to the DC Gulag with cancer. Did he get all the treatment that he needed in the DC Gulag? I've talked to a lot of J6ers. We've talked to a lot of J6ers on this program. Guess what? He didn't. And I'm telling you, the people behind who are pushing this J6 garbage, locking up innocent Americans. Now, were there some people there who were causing some problems? Absolutely. Absolutely, there were. But we know that the vast majority of those who were pushed as criminals, who were identified as troublemakers, were entrapped by the government. There were a few that ended up having their time. They didn't get their sentence pardoned. They just got it commuted for time served. And we agree with that. Those who were there under some false pretenses, trying to cause some problems, yep, they deserve to get it. But what happened on January 6th was an attempted takeover, literally to shut down any real political dissent in the United States by the Democrats and Joe Biden. And we know that. During radiation treatment, prison staff effectively fried him from the inside out, leaving Bart bleeding and in agony in his cement cell. His once strong 58-year-old body was literally overcooked or cooked alive by barbaric prison medical neglect. As fellow inmates described it, it was Bart's spirit that remained unbroken. And it's just a shame that we know that there are still problems in the DC gulag. There's still one J6er in there who was brought back. I don't know all the circumstances behind that, but I'm sure we'll end up figuring that out. But it's just a sad day because we lost a good patriot, a Marine, and it was honestly nice to see that the military gave him a burial with full military honors, despite his country trying to take away his rights, that he earned as a Marine. And I just want to lead the show with that. It's a big deal to me. The J6 community is not that I was there at January 6th, but I consider it a big part of everything that I believe in my fiber and being. And anytime that I get a chance to point out the hypocrisy of the left and what they're doing with J6, we're going to talk about that. Which leads me right into the next segment. Has anybody listened to what the police chief of Washington, D.C. said? My jaw hit the flipping floor when I was listening to this woman. Clearly a DEI hire. Clearly not in control of what's going on inside her department. You know, yesterday we had the police chief from Washington, D.C., or the president of the police union on the program yesterday talking about how they looked forward to having help from the federal government. Well, you know, one thing you want to do with Democrats is you just want to put them in front of a microphone and let them go. Just let them talk and listen carefully. And on the Andrew Gosser show, you know, that's one of my favorite things to do is I love highlighting the left and letting them speak with their own words. I spent a good amount of time messing with this morning, and this is the police chief and the mayor from Washington, D.C. in their press conference yesterday. If I can pull it up.
The chief can talk to you about her meetings with federal officials and their the MPD strategic plan moving forward.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So I had the opportunity yesterday and this morning to meet with Mr. Terry Cole, who's the administrator from the DEA, and also Mr. Gadai Starato, called Gad.
Yep, and shout out to the chief there. I know names are difficult. I screw them up all the time, and anybody hating on her for that, that's low-hanging fruit. Just let that go.
From the U.S. Marshal. He's the director of the U.S. Marshal, and we have been working collaboratively. I think this is going to be a good effort. It's going to be an effort that's supported by both teams, the Metropolitan Police Department, as well as our federal partners. As you know, we work daily with them. What we've done at this point is we have provided the team, the administrator, with a strategic plan on how we will provide resources around our city. I think it's something that is doable. We know that we have to get illegal guns off of our street, and if we have this influx or enhanced presence, it's going to make our city even better.
Good on her, saying that she's going to work with the feds. Everything's going to go okay. They've got a strategic plan where they're going to focus on gun crime. They're going to let the feds work where they're going to work. It seems like everything's going to work out great. And I'm like, man, this is going to be something worth talking about. But wait, there's more.
Chief, what's your role in all this?
I am the
Chief, what's your role in all of this? Now listen to this answer and ask yourself, does this sound like a prototypical answer of what a chief of police would give? Would Chief Wade of Jackson, Mississippi answer this question the same way that this lady is?
Chief of Police for the Metropolitan Police Department, and being the Chief of Police, I am certainly the one who champions to ensure that we reduce violent crime across our city. That is why the mayor appointed me to do that job, which is why you've seen the reduction in crime across our city. This effort will only help us enhance and build upon that.
That to me just sounds like canned gobbledygook. It almost sounds like Kamala Harris speaking. I'm the chief of police. I'm responsible for the police force and law enforcement inside the Washington, D.C. I'm responsible for making sure patrols get out and that crime is fought. And I wouldn't even be worried about what the mayor's thinking or whatever. My job is the chief of police, but it gets better.
Are you responding? Are you answering to Terry Cole?
I
and
answered to
Tam
the
Bondi?
I answered to Mayor Muriel Bowser.
Chief,
Let me just say this: let us not have any controversy with that, okay? Because I know people want to build upon and create division. We're here to work together with our federal partners, and that's what we're going to do.
Chief,
How are you going to do that? Are you?
So she's already setting it up. We don't want division. We don't want to have any drama inside this operation. We want to make sure that the military or the National Guard are going to go out and do what they're going to do. The federal police are going to come in and they're going to help us with our law enforcement enhancement. And she wants to make sure that she's got her line of communication completely ready to go, but she doesn't. And it's absolutely shameful, because if you go online right now and you listen to anything that the left is putting out, they're saying that crime is down in DC. They're saying that everything is going great in DC. And again, it gets back to the gaslighting of the liberal left, which they are outstanding at doing, but we're not falling for it anymore. There are so many of you who have come out and said, I never really looked at the way that the news media portrayed things. I knew it was wrong, but I never actually went through and started analyzing it. And through this show, I know that we're doing that. And that's great. And I'm grateful for it, because now there's a bunch of us out there. And when you feed me stories like this, I'm able to bring it back to you. There's a great article out there in Mediaite, and I tweeted it. So if you want to follow along with me, that's great. And I'm leaving the next soundbite for the next segment. So just, we're going to stay on this, but follow me here. No, DC is not safer than ever. Police union alleges preposterous crime stats are being cooked. And you can go down and read it. And it's got the gray highlighted area. And this is the important part that we need to understand. What's happening is when they're arresting people for felonies and high crimes, they're actually lowering the charges. When management officials are directing officers to take reports for felony assault, or if they're going back into police databases and changing offenses to felony assault is not a category of crime that is listed on the department's daily crime stats. So all of a sudden, oh yeah, these are all down. They're just pencil whipping it. They're just using a tactic that allows them to manipulate the data. And this is coming from the police union in DC. Could you imagine if that happened here in Mississippi? I don't think it is, but it could. We would be fit to be tied. No, honestly, a lot of us don't care about Jackson anymore. We need to let Jackson go. I'm not that belief. I think we can turn Jackson around. I'm not saying we're going to save Jackson, but we can turn Jackson around. But it took decades and decades to put it to where it is today. It's going to take decades and decades to take it out. It's also not something that is a requirement of the FBI Uniform Crime Reporting Program. So by changing criminal offenses from, for example, ADW battery or ADW gun to felony assault, that would avoid both the municipal police department and the FBI from reporting that as part of one of the felony offenses. We've heard that through our members and through our members of management that we're willing to talk with the union. And this is a directive that's coming from command staff. Well, who's command staff? This chief is. And when we get back from the commercial break, we are going to listen to some of the most cringe and crazy thing you've ever heard. We're off and running on the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back.
.1039 WYAB.
Have you noticed all these people acting like the sky is falling? All this tariff talk has folks real nervous, but at Eye Care Optical, we've got you covered. Our prices remain solid on all our quality products. While all other shops are raising prices, we are not. Come get a great pair of eyeglasses, computer glasses, or sunglasses that fit you, your lifestyle, and your budget every day at Eye Gear Optical, 2630 Highway 80 East in Pearl, and on the web at eyegearoptical.com.
Hi, this is Lee Atkins of Home Care Plus in Ridgeland. We are a proud carrier of Abena Premium Incontinence products. Abena has the most absorbency available, making changes and leaks less likely. After 7 years as a seller, I can tell you these products are amazing and worth every penny to quality of life for patient and caregiver. And we ship all incontinence products as well. So please come see us at Home Care Plus in Ridgeland for all the incontinence needs of you or your family member. That's Home Care Plus in Ridgeland.
You can show your pride and patriotism in honor of the 250th birthday of this great nation by proudly flying a flag. And a complete flag source on I-55 in Jackson is the place to find it. All sizes for all purposes. And they have the official 250-year celebration flag. Have a look at CompleteFlags.com. That's CompleteFlags.com.
Whether new construction or remodeling, Stephen Arrington and his team at Elite Custom Construction can design and build your dream kitchen and cabinets, inside and outside. Using high-quality products, Elite Custom Construction specializes in cabinetry and intricate millwork. Established in 2011, licensed and insured, Elite Custom Construction is your solution to your next project. Call Stephen at 601-927-0552 or visit them online at elitecustomconstruction.net.
I'm John Ravenstein.
And I'm Corey Ravenstein.
It's true. Some guys walk into Juniker's shopping for their diamond, nervous as a cat in a room full of rockers.
But that fear goes away mighty quickly when they see how easy it is to shop for their diamond at Juniker Jewelry Company.
We are Mississippi's direct diamond importer with 10 times the diamonds you'll see in any other store in the state. Every size, shape, and price range.
All clearly marked with GIA grading and our best in Mississippi price.
You pick exactly the diamond you want, then choose from hundreds of the latest style settings, and our jewelry artisans marry them into the ring she's always dreamed of.
We even have interest-free financing for qualified buyers.
Remember, you can't buy a better quality diamond at a lower price anywhere in Mississippi. That's the Juniker Jewelry Company money-back diamond guarantee.
Juniker Jewelry Company. From anywhere in Mississippi, we're at 1485 Highland Colony Parkway, just south of 463 in Madison, and online at junikerjewelry.com, Mississippi's direct diamond importer.
We all love the farm-to-table food concept, right? Well, at Burnt Corn Farm, they bring you locally grown flowers straight from the farm to the vase. With a wide selection of flowers and excellent service, Burnt Corn Farm will make your next party or shower a southern delight. Sign up for a monthly bouquet subscription, and their farm-fresh flowers will brighten your days all season long. You can also book your next family photo session in their wildflower field. That's Burnt Corn Farm on Facebook and Instagram. Tri-County Tree Service, the Jackson Metro's premier company to handle all of your tree service needs. Russ Borland and his team specialize in large tree, low-impact removal. Tri-County Tree Service has the right equipment to safely handle the most technical trim jobs or tree removals. Storm damage can happen year-round, so let them clean it up and they'll deal with your insurance claim. Tri-County Tree Service.
Hey, we're in a commercial break. What's going on?
Guy or
I know, I'm listening. So I'm going to go ahead and call a shot. A lot of these federal guys, they don't get the law enforcement training like the street cops do. Go ahead and mark my word. A George Floyd situation.
And we are back on the Andrew Gossip Show on 103.9 WYAB. I believe we got a caller. Caller, are you there? And we are back on
the Andrew Gossip
Yep, I got you now.
3.9 WYAB. I was just going to say that, you know, these federal cops are going in there to help. They're not trained like the local cops are. So you mark my words, there's about to be a George Floyd event happen here pretty soon. It's not going to be because there's hate or anything like that. It's going to be for lack of training. The media's going to blow it up. They're going to say how Trump failed. And he's taking over D.C. and he's a dictator and all that kind of stuff. And he's just putting out all these hate-filled people. But just watch.
We'll be watching because that's definitely a tactic that you would expect that they would try to draw in a federal agency. But the thing about it is the federal agencies that they're bringing in, you know, these are U.S. Marshals, these are ICE agents and Marshals, or not Marshals, but FBI agents as well. So they're trained in it. What I'm more worried about are the National Guard guys. but
or not
according
marshals,
to
but
what
FBI agents
has
as
been
well.
briefed so far,
So
they're going to be
they're-
the National
they're
Guard is going to
trained
be
in it.
more
What I'm more worried
around
about
the
are the National
monuments
Guard
and the
guys,
federal
but
landmarks.
according
So
to
Yeah,
what
I've heard the same
has been
too.
briefed so
What
far,
I'm
they're
saying
gonna
though
be-
is
the
just
National Guard's
don't
gonna be more
if you don't hate
around
the media
monuments
enough, you don't
and
hate them
federal
enough yet.
landmarks.
They're going to use
So
anything. These guys can go in there with white gloves. If they get a second pedal in their hand, the media is going to just highlight it and blow it out of proportion, and they're going to lie about it. And they're going to try to get something, stirred up. That way, the rest of the Trump administration will be about nothing but how Trump is being a dictator.
Yep, that's definitely something that could happen, dude. And I appreciate the phone call, and we're going to get to that. I'm walking us to it, but
that's definitely
this
something
chief
that could
that's
happen,
there
dude.
now,
And I appreciate the
we
phone
have to
call,
see her
and
for
we're
the
gonna get to
incompetent
that.
person that she
I'm
is.
walking us to
And
it,
brother,
but
I appreciate the phone
this
call, my
chief
friend.
that's there now.
Have a good one.
Yep.
We have to see her for the incompetent person
That's
that
awesome.
she is.
I love it
And
when
brother,
we
I
get to
appreciate the
audience
phone call, my friend.
participation, whether it be the text or the phone line.
Yep.
It's always good. Look, this segment's
That's
kicked
awesome.
off with
I love it
a
when we
caller.
get the
I
audience
appreciate that, but this
participation, whether it
segment
be
is
the
sponsored
text or
by
the
Elite
phone line.
Custom
It's
Construction.
always good.
My
Look,
brother in
this
Christ,
segment's
Stephen
kicked off
Arrington, owns
with
Elite Custom
a caller. I
Construction,
appreciate
and
that,
they do
but this
custom
segment's sponsored by
cabinetry
Elite Custom
and mill
Construction.
work, building
My
kitchens
brother in
and
Christ,
decks.
Stephen Arrington,
And if
owns
you're
Elite
looking to
Custom
get that
Construction,
deck
and
redone,
they
if
do
you're looking
custom
to get your
cabinetry
kitchen redone,
and
I
mill
would
work,
appreciate it if you go
building
ahead and give
kitchens and
Stephen
decks.
Arrington a call.
And if you're looking
at
to get that deck
at,
redone, if you're looking to get your kitchen redone, I would appreciate it if you go ahead and give
give
Stephen
him
Arrington a call.
a call
at-
or reach out
at,
to him at
um,
Stephen at elitecustomconstruction.net.
Shoot.
And they're located in Pearl,
give him
Mississippi.
a call or
There's his phone
reach
number,
out to him at Stephen at
601-927-0552.
elitecustomconstruction.net.
I almost gave out
And
his
they're
private
located in Pearl, Mississippi.
phone number, and I didn't want to do
There's his
that.
phone
I
number,
apologize for that.
601-927-0552.
But getting back into this, we're listening to this
I almost gave out
interview.
his
Now
private
listen to this. And granted,
phone number, and I didn't want to
I
do
have
that. I
chopped up
apologize
this
for that.
interview a
But
little
getting
bit
back into this, we're
because
listening
I
to
want to
this-
make
this
sure
interview.
that
Now,
everybody
listen to this,
hears
and granted,
clearly what this lady
I
is
have
saying.
chopped up this interview a little bit because I want to make sure
explain what the National Guard is likely to do, what the federal agents are likely to do. and
So
what
the federal agents, so the way we would do any operational plan across our city, we would create a plan, we would put our resources together, we would allocate and look at the locations around our city where we believe there are areas of pockets of crime that we would like to address. We also know that there are opportunities for us to build upon our community engagement with our federal partners who work with us every day, and this is the time for us to do it. I won't go into the details of the devils of our operation. I won't go into the details of the devils of our operation.
I won't go into the details of the devils. I won't go into the details of the devils of devils of devils of the devils of.
I won't go into the details of the devils of our operation, but you will see Metropolitan Police Department working side by side with our federal partners in order to enforce the efforts that we do around the city.
Isn't that interesting? Everybody always says, Andy, your faith, you wear your faith on your sleeve, but you drive it too much. It's right there in front of you. The details and the devils. I don't believe in misspeaks like that. I think those are purposely brought out there. And it's just incredible how everybody just glosses over this lady. And if you're looking at her, she's got all the hand gestures right. She's got the Obama fist, where he would take his thumb and point it out and it'd be tightly clenched and he would push it forward. And her arm gestures are great. Her head tilt is great. It's like she's made for on a TV screen to have this announcement and play this part as chief of police of Washington, D.C. But it gets even better. And this is where the payoff really comes.
Can you tell us what the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Can you tell us what the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
What does that mean? What does that mean?
What is the chain of command? Who here in law enforcement who's listening thinks that the chief doesn't know what the chain of command is? What's that mean? This is crazy because whether you are the lowest ranking police officer or the chief of police, you know what the chain of command is. And there's absolutely no excuse for this. And you watch this video and you will see the mayor going to complete panic mode. And she steps in after this and starts going on these tangents. This lady is not qualified to be the chief of police in Washington, D.C. She is in way over her head. And, we've all seen this in life where we see someone get promoted where they're really not ready for it, but the people underneath them just grit it out and say, hey, we're going to drag this guy or this gal across the line. We're going to make them look good, and we're going to turn them into something that they probably weren't going to ever get, but they got the opportunity and they're running with it. But there is no hope with this. What's that mean? That's just, my head just explodes over this. And obviously the text line's blowing up, asking me if I did not edit the speech in any way. I did slow it down. I did chop it up. I want to take full responsibility for that. I'm not trying to sit here to sit there and secretly manipulate the audio. That's not what I do. But when you sit there and have this kind of stuff going on, it's not good. What does that reinforce, or how does that install morale into the troops below her, the police officers and detectives that are below her investigating crime and arresting people, when she can't even understand what the chain of command means? I get it. I've been to boot camp, officer training school, had chain of command drilled into my brain. But I've talked to a lot of law enforcement officers, whether they've been federal, state, or local. And they tell me that is drilled into them, whether they go to the academy, or when they go to schooling and training. This isn't something that is just some new foreign or new fangled policy that's being put out to the police departments. If you think about it, the police department is run in a very strict fashion. Everybody reports up. And she couldn't even answer that. By chain of command, do you mean the chain of command inside the Washington, D.C. Police Department, or chain of command of how we're going to be doing this further? Because, when you're deployed in the military, and I deployed out of my squadron into a different squadron, I had my chain of command back home, and I had my operational chain of command where I was deployed downrange, and it was a completely different chain of command. And when I heard this, I was just like, oh my goodness, DC's in trouble. We've got a lot of things going on. And there is a real lack of leadership, is not just in the police department, but law enforcement leadership. If everybody's looking to her for this leadership, and she can't even answer the simplest of questions, I think we're in a world of hurt. Let's listen to a little bit more of the mayor steps in right here, and she tries to cover it up and smooth it all over, but it really doesn't do the job.
Can you tell us what the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Can you tell us what the chain of command is now?
What does that mean?
Well, is it Pam Bondi speaking to the mayor, speaking to you, or how does this work?
So the executive order is clear. The president has requested NPD services, and our home rule charter outlines the.
And that's the other point I want to bring to this. This is not something that is illegal or stepping over the bounds. President Biden bought in the 25,000 National Guard troops for his inauguration. Some people will try to blame that on J6, but we all know that was a federal insurrection. It's not even debatable now. Everybody knows it, and that those details are still waiting to come out. I wish they'd come out quicker, but we all know that the wheels of justice grind really slow. But DC has a special provision in that it's not a state. It is the nation's capital, and the federal government can come in and seize control of the police operations in certain situations, and the president has deemed that this is necessary. Now, the other big aspect of this is people got to understand is that this can only happen for 30 days. And if Congress doesn't approve a longer extension, then it'll just go back. The National Guard will go home, and the federal troops will go back to wherever they were deployed from. And I think this is going to be really incredible, because I think you're going to see the crime statistics truly plummet. You're going to see people actually feeling safer. And that's like a whole nother segment where you've got all these people who have lived in DC who said it's never been so dangerous, especially with the youth crime. we've got a whole section on that too. This one judge, you look at her and you're just like, you just wonder how people get put into certain situations. And it's the only way you can actually think about it is DEI. And, we were all for promoting people who are genuinely qualified to go do the job. We want that. We want people to get those opportunities. But some people are giving these opportunities that they have no business getting. And then all of a sudden it comes back and it falls back on it, implodes on itself. And now we're all in the blast damage. Now everybody's getting fragged. I mean, between the fire chief out in Los Angeles, who couldn't even have water going to the fire hydrants, to now the police chief in Washington, D.C., who doesn't even know what the chain of command is, it isn't looking too good for DEI hires, is it? You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back.
Almost nobody, a new poll found. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up, like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Outraged over that Sydney Sweeney Good Jeans American Eagle ad, but what about everyday Americans? According to a recent Economist YouGov poll, a meager 12% of Americans said they found the campaign offensive. Nearly 40% of respondents found the campaign to be clever, and another 39% said it was neither. 8% didn't know how to feel. Unsurprisingly, the survey also found that men were far less likely to find the ad offensive and more likely to label it clever. Women were more likely to find it offensive, but even that total was only 17%. Unsurprisingly, Republican respondents viewed the ad more favorably than Democrats. All this to say, the overblown media reaction to an ad about jeans was totally ridiculous. Those who were truly offended by a pretty girl and a play on words, quite frankly, need to get a grip. It's not worth getting your undies or your jeans in a twist. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
This Nissan was taken to a shop preferred by the insurance company. This repair took several weeks and cost over $20,000. This car came to Clinton Body Shop for a post-repair inspection. We found dangerous, substandard repairs and parts that were paid for but not installed. The insurance company bought this car from the owner. Have you used an insurance preferred body shop? If you have, call either Clinton Body Shop for a post-repair inspection. In Clinton and in Richland, we work for you. We take pride in perfection.
Did you get us switched over to shelter insurance?
Actually, I found a deal online.
You did? Does your deal come with award-winning customer service?
Oh, I'm not sure.
Does the deal include a local agent?
Doesn't actually say.
Can we create a customized plan that fits our needs? Let's just call the local shelter agent.
For insurance that fits just right, find a shelter agent near you.
Located in Ridgeland and Flora, come see me, Jamie Creel, Shelter Insurance.
Hi, Kim Wade here. Cork and Door Company has been providing quality residential garage and commercial overhead door products to Mississippians for over 50 years. Cork and Door is a supplier of garage door parts and services such as LiftMaster, commercial and residential door operators, as well as Clopay, sectional commercial and residential doors, Asta, commercial sheet and rolling steel doors, and Cornell, rolling steel and shutters, with many in stock for the same-day pickup. CorkandDoor.com. That's CorkandDoor.com.
This ad is for all the guys who work hard and they expect their truck to do the same. At RPT Commercial, we have the accessories to help you on the job site, from names like Bedrock flatbeds, WeatherGuard toolboxes, Nap-High service bodies, ARE camper tops, deck storage solutions, and so much more. Stop by our new store on Highway 80 in Pearl and check with our expert staff and see what they can do to make the job just a little bit easier on you. At RPT Commercial, trucks live here.
When you want your pine trees to grow a little happier and a lot healthier, call on Holcomb Aerial Service. When your crops need dusting, think Holcomb Aerial Service. From the farm to your own pine forest, Holcomb Aerial Service will stimulate growth, eradicate pests, and preserve the value of your crops. Call Holcomb Aerial Service at 601-668-6200. That's 601-668-6200.
And we are back on the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. The number, if you want to phone in, is 601-879-0002. The text number is 601-879-5060. And apparently this chief story has gotten a lot of people fired up. A lot of people really concerned about whether it's going to do any good or not. 3 different texters, 2 of them unknown and 1 of them known, has said even if the federal agents and the National Guard go ahead and arrest a bunch of people, are the prosecutors going to prosecute it? And are the judges going to go after it or find in the right way? And we don't have control over that. I would remind everybody that one of the, honestly, it's the second most important rule in politics. It's why I call it Rule 2. You've got to control what you can control. If you have a show of force out there and you're cleaning up and you're actually going after the drug dealers and the juveniles who are out past their curfew and the gangs running around mugging people and the carjackings, word gets around really quick on the street. The cops ain't playing. We might be let off. The judge might throw out the case. We might get a slap on the wrist, but you're going to go through a process. And as a very wise man told me, Andrew, sometimes the process is the punishment. And it sucks. It sucks going through the meat grinder like that. I've gone through it. If you know, you know. And we just have to continue to go out there. And even if you're only taking a little bit of ground, every day you're taking new ground for the kingdom, right? Every day you're taking new territory for the kingdom. Last night, there were a bunch of arrests. I don't have all of them pulled up in front of me. But people are already, the left will go out there and continue to inflame the situation and try to get some type of reaction. But we have to go out there and take back our streets. And if this is the first place to do it is Washington, D.C., because we can easily have more federal officers involved. I would suggest this. Look what happened in Los Angeles. There were a lot of people there who said, oh, this is going to be trouble. Marines are going to get in trouble. And they brought out a really rambunctious set of Marines out there. But the Marines did exactly what Marines do. They adapt, they overcome, and innovate. They don't steal, they procure. And they did a great job. Our National Guardsmen at Los Angeles did a great job. You really didn't hear a peep out of them. I will say, I've said it before and I will say it again. 99.98% of all criminals are wimps and cowards. And they will go to the easiest place to go commit crime. And if you have a surge of police officers and law enforcement in the area, they're just going to go somewhere else. And that's okay. That's a term we learned in criminology called displacement. You're just displacing them out of the area for a while. That might slowly start to change and curb attitudes and behaviors. That's the kind of thing we want to do. That's good neighborhood policing. It's even better if you put the same cops in the same spots so that they can start developing relationships with their community. I'm not saying anything that's cosmic or full of new age engineering. And the truth of the matter is people want to feel safe. I don't understand, that there's been this whole entire buildup and in many cases, rightly so, of this anger towards police officers and law enforcement. But when you look at it, 99.4%, 95%, 6%, almost all cop interactions are positive in nature. Is there that time that a cop does something wrong? Yep, but that's why we have body cams. And you know all those police officers out there are going to have body cams. That's the first thing that the defense attorney's going to do. I want to see the body cam footage. I want to see exactly what happens. It's just like that one lady that Brother Clay brought up last week, or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. Take me to your supervisor. I want your supervisor out here. Now she's fooled around and found out grand champion. Didn't say it. I didn't say it. Didn't even need to hit the deedle button. The same thing's going to have to happen in Washington, D.C., and it's going to be a long slog. And we just have to be up for the fight. Supporting our National Guardsmen, our law enforcement officers, whether they be federal, state, or local. And that does mean verifying their claims too. I mean, we've seen plenty of outrageous police behavior here in Mississippi. We're not saying that. But to sit there and automatically go down this negative side, I'm not for that. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think there's good stuff that is going to happen in Washington, D.C. And you know what? If it doesn't, I am sure that there'll be plenty of you out there who are going to come up and say, hey, what happened in D.C.? We'll just see what happens. Will there be agitators who try to go and get arrested by the federal police officers or the National Guard? There might be. There are some crazy people out there. But if I'm just thinking about humanity and how most Americans think, none of us want to go to jail. The majority of us don't want to go to jail. The majority of us want to live in a safe neighborhood where our kids can go outside and ride their bicycles, where their car isn't going to get carjacked or stolen, where their house isn't going to be burglarized. These are not wild expectations to have living in the United States of America. There are neighborhoods where those expectations might not be met. And Washington, D.C. just happens to be one of them. And just like that article from Mediaite said, depending on how you report the crime, they're saying that there's no problem in D.C. I'll tell you what, you go walk around D.C. at night and come back and we'll do an on-air report about how it was walking around D.C. at night. There are some places in D.C. that you do not want to go, just like there's some places in Jackson you don't want to go. It's all good. When we get back, we're going to talk about Mayor Lumumba getting that $400,000 no contract bid awarded. Our man Kingfish is reporting on that. And we're also going to have to talk about babies because we've got a problem in America. We're not having enough babies. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. WYAB. We will be right back.
Keep it tuned here to 103.9 WYAB.
What are people saying about Tom's Fried Pies in Richland?
I'm on a diet. I don't want to be down there at Tom's Fried Pies. We had a good time. When I tell you the crust was flaky, I'm talking about buttery. This was nothing like I've ever tasted. Ever. I mean, I've never tasted anything like that, man. It was nice. Atmosphere was nice. Everybody there was nice. Because I'll be back, even though I don't supposed to with my diet. I really enjoyed myself.
Tom'sFriedPies.com. Tom'sFriedPies.com.
Peace, love, and pizza. It's Collie Days at Johnny's Pizza House. Load up the crew and hit the road with nothing but good vibes and better pizza. It's all about that crunchy new cauliflower crust. 10 inches of baked bliss. Light, crispy, and full of flavor. It's the ultimate slice for summer chilling. Best enjoyed with sunshine and good company. Nothing but love served one slice at a time. But don't wait. This trip's for a limited time only. Peace, love, and pizza. Happy Collie Days from Johnny's Pizza House.
Looking for adventure, amazing food, and a little relaxation all in one place? You'll find it at Cypress Point Resort in Brandon. Load up the family and experience a real drive-through safari, petting zoo, and thrilling guided Jeep tours. Then slow it down with mouth-watering steaks at the steakhouse, or grab drinks and live music at the tavern. Planning a wedding or reunion? Cypress Point Resort has beautiful venues and cozy lodging. Ready for your big day or just a weekend escape? It's everything you love about the outdoors with a touch of luxury. Cypress Point Resort. Wild fun right around the corner.
If you want the best health care, where do you go? The Mayo Clinic. If you want the best care for your vehicle, where do you go? Mayo Auto Clinic in Raymond. Mayo Auto Clinic does foreign and domestic vehicles and diesel repair. Mayo Auto Clinic has ASE certified techs with over 25 years of experience. You can extend the life of your car or truck when you take it to Mayo Auto Clinic. For cost-effective repairs and maintenance, go to the best, Mayo Auto Clinic. Open weekdays at 7 a.m. Highway 18 in Raymond.
Y'all come see us at Flora Animal Hospital, your trusted hometown vet. We offer a wide variety of veterinary services, including boarding. Dr. Kaylee McCary is a Madison County native who has been serving the Flora community and surrounding areas since 2013. She leads our team of highly trained and compassionate women. We are located at 740 Highway 49 in the Cotton Exchange Plaza. Call us today at 601-879-3222. At Flora Animal Hospital, we treat your pets like our own.
Looking for the perfect spot to unwind with friends and family? El Patrio Mexican Restaurant is calling your name. With locations in Flowood and Cross Gates, Brandon, El Patrio is the cozy, family-owned gym where great food meets great times. Enjoy El Patrio's signature margaritas and happy hour specials that keep their customers coming back for more. Indulge in their authentic Mexican dishes prepared with love and served in a warm, family-friendly atmosphere. Come to El Patrio and taste the traditions. El Patrio, where family, flavor, and fun come together.
Efficient and trouble-free payroll processing is crucial to a business's success, and a lot of businesses are struggling with it. PeopleLease, a local payroll provider, not only offers top-of-the-line software, but also provides on-demand payroll support services. With PeopleLease, you're never on your own at every step of your payroll process. PeopleLease has the expertise in managing payroll challenges and will work hard to understand your business and employees. That's what makes PeopleLease the perfect choice for you and your business. Learn more online at peoplelease.com.
Attention homeowners and business owners. Complete Exteriors is now Elite Roofing and Gutters. Are your roof and gutters storm ready? The folks at Elite are your local experts in storm protection. Now is the time for an inspection and for proactive solutions that ensure your roof and gutters can withstand any storm. Get up to a possible $250 rebate on a new roofing system for all active military, veterans, and retirees. Online at eliteroofer.com.
And we are back on the Andrew Gosser Show. First hour flew by. It always does. Love the show prep. I love it when it all comes together. You know, I worked on that piece of audio. It sounds, you know, it was only 2 minutes and 56 seconds long, but the whole thing, it takes a while to edit it if you do it the right way. And now that I've got my computer back and my thumb drive back, we're going to do more stuff like that. And it's going to flow a lot smoother, I promise. But about talking about that, have you heard about the roadside trash pickup in Jackson, where former Mayor Bumba and council friends awarded a $400,000 no contract bid to pick up trash on the side of the road? And this is reporting from Kingfish, and I haven't seen it reported anywhere else. And I like going to those websites and those news organizations that continue to put out quality work that aren't maybe necessarily mainstream, but they do good work. And it's a nonprofit, this organization, New Way, is a nonprofit organization that offers transitional housing programs and other resources for formerly incarcerated citizens to go out and become productive members of society. We like those kinds of places. There's all sorts of halfway homes here in and around Jackson that do great work, and we need to go ahead and employ them when possible. But this is a $400,000 a year contract. The total amount paid so far this year is $174,936. And it's really interesting to me how we are recording payments through the public records request. It looks like it's an Excel spreadsheet that's been cropped and cut. I don't know if Kingfish did this himself or if this is just the way the city provided it. But what's striking to me is how they organized the bills. One time it says New Way litter removal from P, and then it just cuts off. One says invoice for May 2025, litter removal from right of what, and then it cuts off. Each billing cycle, it's a little bit different. And even 1 month, it looks like June. It doesn't say what month it's for, but it was billed June 6th or June 3rd. It was for $41,652.00, where on June 17th, just 2 weeks later, it's $33,321.60. Mayor Horn, you've got a lot going on. And look, I'm not busting Mayor Horn's chops because he didn't sign this, but there's got to be some good stuff. The city did not issue a request for proposal or quotes. New Way's contract, and if that's true, then this contract could technically be illegal because depending on the size of the contract and what state law says, it can be as little as $15,000 or $20,000. It just depends on what state you're in. But this is definitely over the amount that it should have gone out for public bid. And this, according to Kingfisher's reporting, the city did not request proposal for quotes. New Way's contract to provide similar services expired at the end of February. Councilman Foote and Hartley inquired when they could expect such cleanup to take place in their wards as they are strewn with trash. This gets back to that whole culture rot argument that Brother Clay brings up on a daily basis here in WYAB, and he does a good job of it. When are the communities going to start owning it too? I'll tell you what, a neighborhood only is a reflection of its citizens and its residents. I talked about earlier this week how we got TP'd and we had it all cleaned up that first day. Our neighbors wouldn't tolerate that. You have to have some pride. And you know, I'm not saying that we can't hire a company like this to go out and do this, but this should at least be bid out. Mr. Foote criticized the administration for not soliciting bids for the contract, but only found support from Hartley. Hisner said the city pays engineers more all the time without issuing RFPs. That's covered by the professional services exemption. So is picking up trash a professional service? I don't know. Are custodians professional services? You know, the people who clean the hallways, take out the trash, clean the bathrooms. And co-defendant with former Mayor Lumumba, Aaron Banks justified the contract, saying that New Way was the only company who performed such work while providing work opportunities for inmates. I don't know. We should talk to the sheriff and say, hey, can we have work programs where we just bring out the inmates and have them pick up trash? I know they do it in Rankin County. I see them out there all the time. We need to come up with a better solution, but with this $400,000 just being whizzed away for a hookup for a friend of the former mayor, it doesn't seem right. You're listening to Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Steve Kathan. Strong words from Ukraine's President Zelensky ahead of President Trump's Friday summit with Vladimir Putin.
I've told the American president and all of our European friends, Putin is bluffing.
Zelensky holding a virtual call with European leaders and President Trump. German Chancellor Merz.
The American president knows that if he wants to reach peace in Ukraine, he can rely on his European and Ukrainian partners to work on that together. Ukraine has to sit at the table.
CBS News White House correspondent Ed O'Keefe.
He wanted to consult with Zelensky and the European leaders before he took the trip to make sure they were all on the same page and had an understanding of what should be discussed or perhaps broached with Putin. There's big concern across the rest of the world that the president might do or say something or negotiate something regarding Ukraine on their behalf without their permission or consultation.
At least 3 deaths are blamed on flooding in the Chattanooga, Tennessee area when a tree came down on a car with a couple and their child inside. More than 6 inches of rain overwhelming some places, prompting high water rescues. Well, President Trump has just named the new Kennedy Center honorees in his new role as chair.
The president says the honorees include
country music star, actor, and producer George Strait.
The others are Broadway and international sensation Michael Crawford.
Music.
Actor Sylvester Stallone, singer Gloria Gaynor, and rock band Kiss.
I'm on the air, man. What's going on?
President Trump, who fired the board of trustees at the Kennedy Center and later became chairman himself, has also teased a construction project restoring the Kennedy Center and possibly adding his name to the title. Lindy Kenyon, CBS News, the White House.
Educators and parents have been debating whether boys should start kindergarten earlier or rather later than girls. CBS's Allison Keyes says a man who's looked into it is weighing in.
It's known as redshirting, and experts like Richard Reeves at the American Institute for Boys and Men say starting boys a year later in kindergarten at age 6 is good for them.
There are huge gender gaps in education now.
Reeves says girls are more mature than boys as young as age 5, and
one way to solve that is just give the boys a bit more time. And in a way, it's leveling the playing field.
Reeves says that helps boys close the gap in high school.
A new Gallup poll indicates about half of American adults now believe moderate drinking is harmful. That's up from 28% 10 years ago. Wall Street. Right now, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 300 points. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Get renter's insurance to protect the things that make your place a home, including coverage for theft or damage. Visit Progressive.com.
The IRS finally caught up with Louie.
I hadn't paid my taxes in 8 years. I owed the IRS a lot of money.
Louie was in deep trouble.
We're going to take your house, put a lien on your bank account, garnish your pay. They don't care. They're going to take your paycheck.
Louie found out about Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima Tax, they helped me. They calmed me down. They made me feel comfortable, and I trust them.
Louie has a lot to be thankful for.
I don't owe the IRS anymore, and I'm able to live a comfortable life, a lot better life. It was because of Optima Tax.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation. Take it from Louie.
If you owe the IRS, don't go it alone. Give Optima Tax a call. They can help you.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete
Local news and weather brought to you by Mississippi Energy Services. We're your fast, affordable, and friendly generator service company. msenergy.us. msenergy.us.
The city employees deserve fairness. 93 for today's high with a 60% chance for afternoon storms. 74 for tonight's low with a 30% rain chance. And Thursday, another 60% chance for afternoon storms with a high again at 93. You've got news on 103.9 WYAB. I'm Chris Davis.
She was at one point the most powerful black woman in the state of Mississippi as Deputy Attorney General.
Jackson City Council President Brian Grizzell describing Onetta Whitley, one of the 3 Civil Service Commission members confirmed by the council unanimously Tuesday. 2 attorneys and 1 pastor will serve on that board, which is under direction to make hiring and promotions about merit and ability. Also at that meeting, an ordinance banning people from wearing ski masks in public was passed with a 7-0 vote by the council upon the recommendation from Police Chief Joseph Wade, but with some pushback from former candidate for mayor Zach Service.
And something that's dangerous is when you start legislating based on trends. When the trend dies off, you're left with a piece of legislation that doesn't really apply and it never gets repealed.
He was charged with child sex crimes, but was once an award-winning teacher. Tuesday, Tyler Shouse shot and killed himself on the back porch of a house in Petal. Prosecutors say Shouse violated the terms of his bond by sending an aggressive text to the parent of a person believed to be one of his victims and was likely bound for jail and then prison. 15 years in the big house. The maximum sentence was afforded by a Madison County judge Tuesday to 17-year-old Shunkez Harris, who admitted he strong-armed the tennis shoes right off another teenager's feet at a gas station in Canton last year, and it was caught on camera. More news in 1 hour on 103.9 WYAB. I'm Chris Davis.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are the individual views and opinions of the people expressing them and do not necessarily reflect those of this radio station, its parent, affiliated, or related entities, agents, or employees.
Yes, you are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. The number, if you want to be a part of the program today, is 601-879-0002. The text line is open at 601-879-5060. Today is Wednesday, the 13th of August, 2025, and we're streaming on Rumble. We're streaming on X. We're streaming on YouTube, and we're streaming on that social media platform that begins with a F, but we don't like saying the name because they like censoring stuff. And as always, you can always be listening to us on WYAB.com, where we're streaming worldwide. That is the mothership. And our job is the same every day. We're here to equip the saints. There is an appointed time for everything. There is a time for every matter under God, and that's truth. Ecclesiastes, read it. It's good for you. And we got to talk about a time right now, which is the fake fraud and scam that is the inflation fear that is being perpetuated upon the American public by the mainstream news media. Everywhere I turn to, I look on the left and they're screaming, "Oh my God, the sky is falling, the sky is falling," for the last 6 months. And what has really happened? Inflation is pretty much flat. It's come under expectations again. Are we doing great? I would say no. Are we doing better than we were under Biden? Heck to the yeah. And that's just not me and my own personal anecdotal evidence. These are people who I come in contact with who say, the economy is turning around. And I've got a news service where I can go and I can look at everybody on the left, everybody on the right. And just by reading the headlines, it's amazing how you can be manipulated. And, if inflation is going up, I want to be told inflation's going up. But when inflation ticks down and we're told that it's still bad news by the doom and gloomers, that's really got to have an effect on us and say, you know what? It's about time that these people who are quote unquote journalists, the drive-bys, they need to be given the boot, which they are, by the way. The free market is taking care of these mainstream news media outlets and their conglomerates. CNN is crashing. And, I can't wait for our report next month when CNN goes below 480,000 daily viewers, including when they're on in the airports, which is incredible. When MSNBC continues to crash out and fall out, that's going to be great. And I want you to get a flavor of this. And I'm going to play a piece of audio of somebody who I've played on the radio in the past when I've used him to prove my point. Well, now I'm going to use him to argue against me, and then we're going to talk about it. And this is CNN pollster Harry Enton. And I like him because I find him entertaining in some of his gestures and analogies are just completely over the top and silly. But he does seem to be correct more than he's wrong. Although in this case, I think he's really wrong. Here we go.
let me just say, this is an abject disaster. Abject disaster for the President of the United States. You mentioned it, Jessica. Look, voters on Trump and inflation. He won the 2024 election because he was more entrusted on inflation than Kamala Harris was, led by a margin of 9 points. Look at where his net approval stands today, though, on inflation. My goodness gracious. Into the gutter we go.
I truly think Henry Enton listens to me. My goodness gracious. I've been saying that longer than he's been alive. My goodness gracious. Quick copy of me, Henry.
Oh, underwater we go. He's 25 points underwater. My goodness gracious. That is where the Little Mermaid is, and he is matching the Little Mermaid. That's how far underwater he is.
He's with the Little Mermaid. Trump and the Little Mermaid. My point of bringing this to you guys is to just show you where the left is. Now, let's read. And by the way, if we're really that bad on inflation, if we're really that bad, why are we up 343 points today on the Dow Jones? You look at where our economy is going. It is going up despite the beating from the militant left in America and, quite frankly, around the world. If there was really bad news out there, they'd be going completely full throttle, wall-to-wall coverage, and they can't do it. So I'm looking at all these different headlines, and I can sit here and I can just read headlines from the left and the right, and just with a simple click. This is from the right. Key takeaways from July's Consumer Price Index report. Rate held steady at 2.7%. Inflation, and that was the Epoch Times. The Virginia Star. Inflation holds steady amid trade war threats. The Virginia Star. Inflation ticks down 2.7% in July. Inflation ticks down 2.7% in July. Carolina Journal. If I want to go to the left, I just click the button right here. Boom. Inflation up only slightly in July. U.S. consumer inflation holds steady, but tariff risks persist. Inflation holds steady in July as tariffs put the Fed in a bind. U.S. inflation steady last month as tariff hit offset by cheaper gas and food, the Boston Globe. So you can see sitting there, they've got this captured audience, and they're just doom scrolling them. They're just feeding a line of hot garbage when the economy report for last month was actually very good. Energy apparently is going down. We talked about that yesterday. I haven't really seen it as much in Mississippi as I would have liked, but it is down, dropping 2.2% in July, nearly 10% lower than last year. Egg prices continue their long decline. I can honestly say I do not follow the egg prices. If I want eggs, I just walk out into my backyard. And they're better than any eggs that you can buy at the grocery store. The truth of the matter is that Trump's policies are working in spite of everybody and everything that's working against him. I think it's refreshing and a breath of fresh air, quite frankly, that we are figuring out that tariffs will actually help us build our American economy. We have the greatest consumer base in the world. Everybody wants to be in America. Why? Because we're the best. Do you want to go live in China? Do you want to go live in Europe? United Arab Emirates? Everybody's coming here. They want to come here. Legally and illegally. We've got access to the best market. We've got the best stuff. And we should be benefiting from that, from our report. The report indicates that core inflation, which excludes volatile food and energy prices, rose 0.3% in July, exactly in line with forecasts. Over the last year, the core CPI, Consumer Price Index, has risen 3.1%, remaining within a manageable range for policymakers and consumers alike. Grocery prices, meanwhile, remain steady month over month, with some categories experiencing decreases that eased pressure on household budgets. Ladies and gentlemen, I am just asking y'all, when you see these people screaming doom and gloom from the top of the rafters, you really need to wonder what they're covering up. Like Brother Rick often talks about, what are they trying to have us not focus on and look at. And we still don't know what it is. Do you know Elon and President Trump are back together doing stuff? It's much more on a low key, but that whole thing is blown over. We've got so much that's going good for us. We don't need to do anything but completely dispel the liberal left. And I know a lot of us don't listen to MSLSD or CNN, and we're all better for it. But we do have to know what they're out there saying so that when we come in contact with them, we can completely shunt them to ground and have them move along and don't fall into their liberal traps and tactics. Despite the impact on tariffs, many experts agree that the recent inflation data does not yet reflect the full effects of recent trade policies. That's a fair statement. You know what? It's never going to know the full effect on trade policies because time moves forward. We can have 12 months of great impact and then one bad month, and then these liberal leftists are going to lose their minds. This is what I thought was important. Many economists have been expecting inflationary impact of Trump's tariff policies to come through in the new inflation data, but so far that result has been muted. Everybody's been expecting the sky to fall out. Everybody's expected Trump to fail, not just with the tariffs, but with redistricting, with taxes, with the big beautiful bill, with the immigration, with the border. Everything that Trump does, you always hear these people just running negative, negative, negative. But we're doing all right. Am I saying we're doing great? No. Do you think we could be doing better? I bet most people listening to the sound of my voice would say, yep, we could be doing better. But the thing is we're not the president and we're not making those decisions. Trump is. Mississippi's doing great. I guess the main point here is coming from Brian Balfour, Senior Vice President in Research at the John Locke Foundation, trying to tie overall inflation trends to Trump tariffs is both premature and off base. It's premature because many of the tariffs didn't even take effect until August 7th, after the latest CPI number was calculated. So, you know what this means? What he's kind of forecasting in the future is next month there might be more inflation. We don't know. But to say now and have all this little economic terror being forecasted on us by the left just needs to go by the wayside. And we can do that. When we get back, next segment, I promise we're going to talk about the babies. It might not be till the last segment, but we're going to talk about America needing more babies and what we can do about that. But we're also going to talk about the redistricting maps and Texas. For those of you who don't know, the Texas Senate actually already approved the maps, but we're still waiting on the House because they're all hiding and fleeing in J.B. Pritzker land and elsewhere. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9. We will be right back. Yep, you are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. If you want to be part of the program today, the number 601-879-50 or 0002. The text number is 601-879-5060. And we've got to talk about this redistricting stuff because it is actually looking like Texas is going to actually approve this map with only 5 seats and not 8, although there is that threat out there. The Texas Senate has just approved the 5-district map. And of course, the liberals and the leftists are screaming, saying that we are playing with fire, that we are denying the rights and the voting rights of people all across of Texas and America. But the thing is they're gaslighting us. They're not wanting you to do the research. They're not wanting you to dig in to see what's actually happening. And if you actually go around and look at what is happening in America right now with our seats in Congress and how the maps were drawn, you would find an absolutely staggering statistic. And I want to thank Kyle Sinclair for this. Originally put in his Twitter account is KYLEBEXARGOP. He's done the research that many of us thought about, but just for whatever reason, didn't do it. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at some states, see how many people voted Republican, and then guess how many congressional seats they actually hold inside the state. So, for instance, if there is 30% voting Republican in a state, you figure that they have at least one, they have at least one. In Massachusetts, 36% of the population voted Republican in the last presidential debate or in the last presidential race. How many congressional seats do you think that Massachusetts has? 1, 2, try none. Connecticut, 42% Republican. How many congressional seats do you think Republicans hold in the state, the great state of Connecticut? 1, 2, none, 0. Maine, 46% Republican voters. 46% Republican voters. How many congressional seats do Republicans hold? 1, 2, none. We could talk about New Mexico, which has 46% Republican, New Hampshire, 48% Republican, Rhode Island, 42% Republican, Vermont, 32% Republican, Hawaii, 38% Republican, and Delaware, 42% Republican. How many Republicans hold congressional seats in New Mexico, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Vermont, Hawaii, and Delaware? If you guessed 0, you would be correct. So let me ask you, ladies and gentlemen of the Andrew Gosser Show, who is really having their votes stolen from them? Is it the left or the right? I would suggest to you that deceptively, under the radar and under the cover of darkness, Democrats have been secretly stealing congressional seats from Republicans for a very long time. But here's where the heavy hitters come in. And you can, and again, this is all going to change when there's a new census and we don't count all the illegal aliens who are here, the people who are here illegally taking up all of our resources, whether that be medical resources, food resources, educational resources, gunking up our legal system. Imagine when those numbers get drawn down and we can apply more of those resources to the people who live here, who earn that by being American citizens. We've got the big 3, right? California, Illinois, and New York. But let's really lock in on this. California is 38% Republican. And they only hold 9 of 52 seats. And Gavin Newsom says, we're going to go out there and completely cut it all down. We have to protect democracy. Whenever you hear a Democrat say that they've got to protect democracy, what you really got to think of, we've got to maintain our control of power. Because that's what the Democrats are doing. And they've been doing this for a long time. We as Republicans have been asleep at the wheel, and we haven't been paying attention. We haven't been putting this information out there. But think about this, ladies and gentlemen. You can go out there right now and talk with all your Democrat friends and say, if you get 36% of the vote, shouldn't you get at least one congressional seat? And someone asked me on the text line to just retweet this. So if you look on my Twitter account, which is at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser, you can see all of my due diligence and work. California, 38% Republicans, only 9 of 52 seats. Think about California, by the way, is just an electoral college juggernaut. 52 seats. That's huge. I think the next biggest is Florida. So even though Republicans make up 38% of the vote, they only get 20% of the congressional seats. How about Illinois? I love picking on Illinois, J.B. Pritzker. 44% Republicans, but only 3 of 17 seats, or 17%. And remember, J.B. Pritzker said that Illinois is the model of how to do it. We had him on the radio the other day. New York, 43% Republicans. 43%. That's a pretty big percentage. 7 of 26 seats, or 26.9%. Who's really tilting the field here? Can you imagine if seats were drawn equitably? Republicans would have a 20-seat majority right now. Maryland, 34% Republican, only 12%, only 1 of 8 seats, 12.5%. New Jersey, which is trending red, it is really moving to the right, and it's scaring the heck out of Democrats because they're about to completely lose control of Pennsylvania, and New Jersey is following suit. New Jersey is 46% Republican, yet they only have 3 of the 12 seats, or 25%. Oregon, this is actually a shocker to me. Oregon, 41% Republican, and you've got crazy Portland out there, and you go out there and you look at what's going on in Portland. My goodness gracious, lovable me. It is the land of fruit and nuts out there. Absolutely crazy. Keep Portland weird. No. Actually, people are starting to rebel against that in the craziness that they've supported and embraced. 41% Republican in Oregon, and only 1 seat out of 6 is in Republican hands. Only one of them is a Republican, or 16.7%. So what we have proven is that we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 states that have no Republican seats, even though there's a statistical Republican voting segment there. And then you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 states that are completely manipulating the maps so egregiously out of the Republicans' ability to have simple representation in Congress. 17 states are so biased. And you can say, oh, well, Texas, oh, well, Florida. Hey, you want to know what? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. But I guarantee you, if congressional seats were drawn appropriately, if redistricting was done appropriately, we would have a lot different Congress than we do today. Some people say, what about Mississippi? Well, Mississippi is going to be an interesting case, especially if this Louisiana lawsuit comes through and decides that, you can't have a majority-minority district. I'm not even sure what the Republican Party would want to do with that in Mississippi. I haven't really brought it up to anybody that I know. Hasn't been something that's been on my main burner. So for everybody who's sitting here complaining about Texas and redistricting, and by the way, those state representatives in Texas, they're so screwed. They are in a box inside a box inside a box. Right now, they are can't get any campaign funds. They can't get any campaign funds to support their fines that they're getting. Their paychecks that were all direct deposited now have to be picked up in person, so they have to come home. And also, it's looking like if they don't come home, they're going to actually be removed from office legally through the Texas Constitution. They're in a bad way. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back. Hey, Sweepy, I just jumped And we are back on the Andrew Gosser Show. We've got a few more stories to get into before we head on out for the day. There's actually a lot of breaking news, and it's good news. This is coming from Reuters, which should always be taken with a grain of salt, but sometimes the headline says it all. And in this case, it does. Trump wins appeal over freeze on foreign aid payments. All those foreign aid payments that Trump seized and stopped and said, don't do it. And the lower court in D.C. said, hey, you've got to keep on paying all those NGOs money. Well, the appeals decision just overthrew the lower court. It erred by ordering the Trump administration to restore foreign aid assistance to previously approved by Congress. It was a 90-day pause. This was the USAID stuff. And it's incredible, that these courts, these kings and queens who wear black robes, try to conduct foreign policy, which is expressly given to the president of the United States. But it's all right. You sit there and you fight these things. And, to Trump's credit, he hasn't sat there and caused a big storm out of this. He just took him to court and he won. Because the truth of the matter is that is the gameplay that the Democrats have now. Take it to court, get that first preliminary victory, declare victory, and then make everybody feel uncomfortable. So that's exciting news. This is actually should scare the heck out of every person listening to this. And I don't mean to doom scroll, but this is actually kind of serious. Have you ever heard of the screwworm? The screwworm is a parasite that infects cattle, and now there are 2 reports of screwworm infecting American beef. One in Texas and one in Oklahoma. It's pretty scary. And this is a parasite that originated apparently in Mexico, and now it's making its way up here. I don't know what the heck we're going to do about it, but I sure am glad that I raise my own stuff, and I go to private people who raise their beef, and you should support your local farmers too. Get out to those farmer markets. Get out there and support those people who are raising cattle, because it's expensive to buy good beef, but it's so worth it. Not only is it only healthier for you, but the flavor is just something that if you're older generation, you'll remember it when you were growing up as a kid. If you're younger, you might be a little bit shocked on what real beef actually tastes like. But any chance you get to buy local raised Mississippi beef, pigs, lamb, oh, you should do it. You'll thank yourself later. But now it's time to get on to the big story. Americans aren't having enough babies. And I got this from Magnolia Tribune. It's a worldwide problem. Fertility rates all across the world, the Western world, I should say, are down. But in places like the Middle East, India, and Africa, it's looking good. Now, why our birth rates are down? Some people say it's the food that we're eating. Some people say it's the culture. Marriage is no longer between a man and a woman, even though it's a biblical word. Marriage can be between 2 dudes or 2 guys, two gals. We don't care. And that's the insidiousness of government taking over marriage. Marriage is not supposed to be involved with the government at all. But we did a sneaky trick where we allowed to get special tax breaks for those who are married. And now all of a sudden, people who are homosexual say, hey, we want those same deals. Why can't we get it? It's not fair. Well, can you have babies? No, but you can sure talk to our babies and indoctrinate them into your lifestyle, which I feel is wrong. And I'm not afraid to admit it. Lower fertility rates impact both the present and long-term health of a nation. Not only does it affect our social fabric, since families are the cornerstone, but also harms our economic health. Amen to that. The nuclear family is the cornerstone to the American experiment in the representative republic. They say a cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. That's supposed to be man, woman, and God. And I know I'm getting a little preachy, but it's just what it is. If you look at the last 120 years, we've moved mightily away from that. And now we have young kids, they're 13, 14. they've got their anxiety device ready, locked, loaded. They can go find out all sorts of things that, we as kids couldn't have found out, or we could have, but it would have been a lot harder. And it's just to a point now where there's pressure. And some of these pressures are the price of housing. A lot of kids who are married and they want to have a family, they're having a hard time getting their house. I think I bought my first house at 23. It was a condo. It was nice. But I mean, you're talking kids now, they're not buying homes until they're in their 28, 29, 30, and they're not even using their own money. You know whose money they're using? Mom and dad's. Because they can't find a job good enough to actually afford a house with the interest rates where they're at. They feel pressured. They feel trapped economically. And that's something that we should have to do. There's a mindset that existed in our parents' generations and those that came before, that owning a home was important. The feelings of boundless invincibility and the false belief in an endless span of time that lies ahead are nothing new at all. I agree with that. When I was 19 in the military, just doing what I was doing, I did feel invincible. I did feel like Superman. I did feel like I could do anything, and I clearly was wrong. I am paying that price right now, and that's okay. I don't feel any less for it. I'd do it all over again if I could. It also talks about social media and the swipe hookup culture. Whether it's the overwhelming market of dating apps, social media pressure, or cultural change, the factors that affect a sinking fertility rate are real and varied. So we don't know exactly for sure why our fertility rates are going down. We just know that they are. But those of us who want to apply common sense to stuff, we can realize that it's all of these things. Social media pressure, all of a sudden, the hookup culture is just, it is what it is. And no longer is it cool to just be married and have a family. It's cool just to hang out and wait for that perfect one. But like a friend of mine was saying, she waited too late to get married. She got married at 29, and she was waiting and waiting and waiting, and all of a sudden it realized on her that female biological clock started ticking. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. And with the dating apps and social media, people have gotten a lot more picky. And the real crazy thing about this is that the high value man, that's the true unicorn right now. Everybody would think it'd be the perfect 10 model or whatever. Nah, it's the high value man. And it's put this downward pressure on society, where a lot of 7, 8s, and 9s, and even 10 women are going for that high value man. He's rare. He's a unicorn. He almost doesn't exist. And it's people are not getting married and they're not having kids. And we won't feel the impacts for this for about another 15 to 18 years. There's going to be a time delay on this, but it's gonna be a bad deal. And then you bring up Hungary, which gives tax breaks to the young kids who get married early and have kids and stay married. They have 3 kids in Hungary. You don't pay income tax. Hungary is like one of the rare exceptions right now in the West where birth rates are just booming. But then again, they embrace their culture. They don't like people moving into Hungary who don't agree with their values, their belief system. And they kick people out who are causing those types of problems. Poland is also a lot of the same way. And if we don't come to a conclusion here in America, it'll just come to a point to where we don't have the bodies to do what we need to do, whether that be financially, economically, agriculturally, militarily. we're just not going to have that same type of presence in the world, on the world stage. As our populations collapse, our economy is going to collapse too. Oh, Andy, that means we need to have more immigration. No, we need to have people who want to be in America, who appreciate the American way of life, who want to build a future here. You know, it would be great to have parades where everybody's waving their American flags and not protests where everybody's waving the Mexican and Nicaraguan and Guatemalan flag. It'd be great if we had congressmen and women who were actually from America, who loved America, and not from Guatemala, who moved to America and then trash America every chance they get, like the congresswoman from the 3rd District of Illinois. And the thing about it is, it's such a clear plan of the great liar, the deceiver, the accuser. It's all right in front of us for us to see, but we don't want to believe it. We can't believe that it's true. Just like that DC police chief who said the details and the devil. Some people say, Andy, that's just a misspeak. That's just a misstep. Is it? Are drag queen story hours with kindergartners just a thing that it's no big deal? Don't worry about it. Is hookup culture just a thing? What about the culture rot that we're experiencing? And I'm not just talking black culture. Everybody's like, oh, Andy, nope, it's white culture too. Do we embrace marriage like we used to? Do we honestly do the things that our parents used to do? And people can say, Andrew, we move on, evolution moves on, things change, we go with the times. I can believe that to a certain extent, but there are some things that never change, like biology. You can't, for a whole generation say there are only 2 genders, and then all of a sudden there are infinite number of genders, and the science just doesn't bear out. You've got scientists who are truly scientists who are saying, no, this isn't real. But yet you have this thing called consensus. And if the consensus says it, then that just must be what it means. That must be the way that we need to go. Consensus is leading us straight into the garbage can. I'm glad I've got a granddaughter. I hope I have many more granddaughters and a few grandsons. That'd be great. I'd even like to be around to see a great grandchild. Let's go for a great granddaughter too. That'd be pretty cool. Hook me up, Peanut, in about 20 years. You're listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We will be right back with our final segment. And we are back, and just like that, poof, 2 hours in the can. Getting better every day. Last story I want to talk about is Soul City Solar Project in Hinds County is slated to be the largest solar project in the state of Mississippi with just under 6,000 acres of land. My goodness, that's a lot of land. I do wish I would have moved to Mississippi back in the 90s. I would have, instead of buying 30 acres, I would have bought 600 acres. And I would have had a lot more sheep and life would have been good. But I digress. There's still some steps to clear. And DeKeither Stamps, who is now our Central District Commissioner, had a hearing about solar energy. And what bothers me is we're going to take 6,000 acres of really good agricultural land. Let's say it's not all ag land. Let's say 4,000 acres is ag land. And we're going to be taking that off and we're going to put on solar panels that just do not generate the type of power that we need to generate. It's good for a small home. If you got yourself a set of solar panels out there, if you could drive by my farm, you'll see we got it. But when you're sitting there talking about taking up all that property and all that land and what we're going to have to do to dispose of all those solar panels in 30 or 40 years, it's a huge, huge task. And there are better ways to get sustainable energy right now. And this is just taking us down a path that Mississippi doesn't want to be on. I know that there's a big part of the community out there, especially in Hinds County, that talks about not wanting to have this going on. And they're very vocal on Facebook. I pray to God every day that they get a little bit bigger, a little bit louder. People join their cause. I know they've got a Facebook group. Mayor Horn is all in favor of it. I think it's an opportunity to create more economic development in Hinds County, particularly in Western Hinds. I know he was the senator out there, so that's why he's saying that. He is correct, and that's where a lot of our growth lies, but I don't think it's in solar farms. I think it's in ag and small business. And just tiling over agricultural land that could be used for farming and ranching is definitely not the way to go. Well, it's that time to wrap it up. I'm grateful and thankful for everybody who listened today. We'll be back in 46 hours. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB.